Hey everybody, Unedited, episode 34. I'm Ethan, that's Jordan. Let's get into it. That's pretty quick, eh?
It was quick. I like it.
Yeah, we've got feed item today. We've got in the neighborhood. And then we're going to be talking about how about you? We got one specific line of feedback that we're going to address because it was emphatic. So
emphatic. I like that.
Yes. Your responses to us matter. We like them and we appreciate them a lot. So first of all, let's talk about in my feed.
In my feed.
So feed items, it means something that we've had pop up in our feed throughout the week. And who do you want to go first? Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah, please.
Is yours happy?
Yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
Kind of silly.
All right. I'll do mine first then. Because
Okay.
we can land on a little bit of a happier thing.
A happier thing? Okay.
It's not that mine isn't happy. It's that mine is a little inaccessible. So I'm not going to get into the details of it, but anybody who's watching or listening, you can just Google quantum teleportation and you'll find tons of articles about this, okay? So I'm looking specifically at an article from the Register, but it was just because of the phrasing. Like I've looked at multiple articles here. So quantum teleportation, there has been a big breakthrough, and we've talked here before about quantum computing. And like the whole, we're not going to get into the science behind it of like, superposition and all of that. But quantum computing is huge and it's going to change the world. It's already changing the world. There's already things that the world has to do differently because of quantum computing, which I won't get into, Jordan, because I know I'm just going to put you to sleep right away. Just first 2 minutes of the episode, I'll just put you to sleep with that. But there have been demonstrations previously of quantum teleportation, but what has happened here is that they've found a way to take particles which are entangled, like once the entanglement is established, to have a teleportation that is repeatable, a repeatable teleportation of a quantum logic gate, so it always succeeds, which is massive. So it's between, this is one of the quotes from in here. It says, previous demonstrations of quantum teleportation have focused on transferring quantum states between physically separated systems. In our study, we use quantum teleportation to create interactions between these distant systems. So the idea is, through entanglement, two separate distant things can have interactions, which is essentially teleportation. Again, I'm not going to get into the science about it, but isn't that crazy, man?
It is kind of
just
nuts,
the fact that word is attached to it, teleportation. Like we're not even sending like coins between two places yet or anything like that. That's not like the point of what they're doing. But to think about the fact that, again, the whole quantum reality of our existence is something that just blows my mind all the time, and the whole idea that like observation changes states and stuff, like it's deterministic to states, and like how presupposition is, it's not presupposition. What's the word I'm looking for? Superposition is what I meant to say. Superposition is just mind blowing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Well,
what do you think?
It's interesting. Like years ago, like 20, 30 years ago, these would have been movies that we would have made up, and like, this kind of stuff would have been stuff we would have focused on as kind of like something that you thought would never be possible. And then to hear, stuff like this going down, I don't know, it seems kind of wild. The whole idea of like teleportation, like it kind of like, correct me if I'm wrong, we're kind of talking about something being in one state and arriving in another state. Yeah. Very fast, right? Like almost like unexplainable to an extent, right?
Instantaneous communication between two distanced things. Yeah. Like I'm trying to like keep this as like surfacey as possible, because if we get into like how it all works, it's going to just be, I'm not going to say it right. It's going to be confusing. But between two different places, because of quantum entanglement, they're able to repeatedly make an interaction at one place happen at another place.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's almost creepy in my opinion, to an extent.
Yeah.
Where we're headed with all this stuff. Well, it's strange because like I don't know. To me, it almost feels like you're kind of messing with like with nature a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I can understand how this would be such a thrill and a kick for the people involved, though. Like to actually enable something like that to go down is pretty impressive, if not mind blowing.
So what do you think about super colliders? Like, I'm assuming you're not into that if you're thinking this is messing with nature, right?
A little bit, yeah. I'm definitely more of a like when I watch movies, for example. Like I know you're huge into sci-fi, aren't you?
Big time.
Right, and so for me, I'm more like the kind of person who's going to be boring, who's going to want the comedy or the drama, right?
Yeah.
And typically the drama, just because like for the most part, it kind of stays within the realm of like stuff that feels like it's a part of our normal everyday.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand the draw towards sci-fi though too. Like every time I watch one, I leave kind of impressed and a little bit like mind blown and maybe shook a little bit to an extent, right? So
well, the further sci-fi goes, the further real science goes, the closer we get to a place where sci-fi is just different expressions of like possible futures or alternate timelines and stuff, right? Like the more we understand about how magical the scientific world is, it's like lots of like, especially nowadays, like lots of sci-fi movies aren't just about like sci-fi started out as like alien invasion movies or zombie movies or something, it's like imagine, this crazy thing. But like the further we get in and the more established the genre has become, it's just representations of like hypotheticals, really. And like lots of these things you could see happening if the world went a certain way or if we had enough time or whatever, there's even a breakthrough in sublight travel recently, like in terms of being able to, there's a new drive. I'm not going to be able to quote it properly in terms of what and how, but there's a new drive that could reach like Mars a lot quicker and stuff that they've theorized and worked on here. And I find this stuff really interesting. Now, something I want to say though, is that in terms of, for people who out there who are skeptics, maybe like yourself, where you're like, let's not mess with quantum entanglement or like colliding particles and stuff. And like all of this, like sort of like scratching at the veil of reality stuff. Like I could appreciate that. But at the same time, like quantum computing, for example, has already changed our world. Yeah. Like we're already at a point where we need to continue understanding and developing it. Makes sense. For example, like if a nation or a group was to establish dominance in quantum computing first in the world, they could cripple everybody like instantaneously. So there's already security measures in terms of like quantum relays to be able to send properly encrypted like security between places and stuff using satellites, and like you're shooting particles from space to Earth and they're getting caught, and it's crazy. So they use superpositioning as an anti-tamper method, which is crazy. Like if you shoot a particle to one place, if somebody observes it, it changes the state of it. That's the whole point of like superposition. And so you would know immediately if somebody had interfered with your signal because the superposition would have been interrupted. Whereas if you receive it and you observe it, you're the one that sets its... Anyway, it's crazy. It's just nuts. So crazy.
It is. I never even thought about the security side of it either, though.
Yeah. Well, a quantum computer could just like boom down everybody immediately. Like it would be game over if it was like fully operational in the way that they think it could be.
It's like Y2K that never happened, but we were all waiting for.
But
it would actually happen in this case, right?
Did you know that Y2K was real?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we don't need to get into it. Yeah. Okay. But I remember Y2K. I was so young, but people were kind of like,
everything's shutting down tonight. Yeah. Right? Like so.
This is why I think this piece matters, though. Like here we are on a church podcast talking about quantum teleportation, but it's one of these things that I think it's good for us to consider because if you're coming from like a perspective where you believe in the fact that God has created and the fact that the universe is incredibly articulate and profound, and the fact that God is beyond comprehension. These are things that the Christian faith are very intimately interacting with, right? The cosmic and the mind-blowing. There's like a new emphasis in media called cosmic horror, which is the idea of like, you'll see it in movies where it's like just something that is so incredibly beyond the human scope that it's horrifying. It's like, how is that even possible, Some people feel cosmic horror when they sit outside on a starry night and they look up and they think, I'm so small. And that dread that comes on you that's called cosmic horror, But the Christian faith is like day one on that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
where from the beginning, the like even proto-Judaic religious beliefs and like beliefs in God and stuff have been grappling with the fact that there is something so incredibly huge and immense that's just, we don't even get it. The best thing we can do is at different stages we try to make connections of it's like this. And when Jesus came, he's always saying, hey, this is how things go. Like, this is why this matters. And he, like, it's bringing everything big into small so that we can understand, right? That's why that's why God became human, so we could get it. And now we're at a point with science where I think it's important for Christians to think like this big, huge, crazy thing, again, we're just barely scratching at this door sort of thing. But it's good for us to think about and to get involved in and to consider and to think, what are the ramifications on your belief about existence and the expanse of the created world, and you know, and how do you embrace that when it comes to like your idea of what God has given us here, you know?
Yeah, well, it's going to have huge effects on that, especially because you're dealing with created things, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
No, I like it.
So it'll freak some people out, but I think it's neat.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
neat to
See,
think
in
about.
that side of it, I actually find kind of interesting. I find that part of it a little bit more intriguing when you put it into that perspective.
Yeah.
For me, it's just I don't know. I think just my everyday thing. Maybe I don't daydream enough. Like, and I mean that in a good way. Like in a sense of like get a little bit more curiosity, healthy about this kind of stuff. Because when I hear you talk about it, I get quite fascinated by it. But I don't talk about it a whole lot myself. But I'm gonna go look this up. And one of these days, me and you are gonna have a parlay of sorts on this. Okay.
We'll have a
I'm gonna be ready.
rip-roaring
I'm gonna be
one.
ready for you. Okay.
All right, dude. Absolutely.
Sounds good.
We'll parlay about whether the Hadron Collider should keep going or not, and you'll be like, "No, shut it down."
And I'll say quantum something, and I'm going to make you just reconsider everything you thought about.
Do you remember that show Quantum Leap?
No. Is it good?
Oh, it was like one of those old cheesy shows.
Okay.
It's like he
I
would
remember hearing about it, yeah.
he would jump into different people's bodies for an episode,
Oh, really?
basically, like a different time, different place, and he would be a different person every episode.
That sounds kind of cool.
It was pretty weird, but it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was called Quantum Leap.
Okay.
I remember watching it with my dad. Anyway, that's my piece. That's my feed. Quantum teleportation, guys. It's yeah. The world isn't changing. We're just seeing it differently. It's pretty crazy.
100%.
So what was your feed item?
You know what? My feed item is like as juvenile and amateur as possible compared to your smart one here. But we're going to talk about it anyways because I think it's funny to an extent. Are you a prankster? I know you're a prankster. I don't really need you to answer that. You prank me sometimes, even in the office. Just little things, yeah.
Do I?
Yeah, like
Yeah, okay.
didn't you just like nail something to Pastor Louis' door?
Oh no, I didn't nail it.
It wasn't your 95
It was
thesis
my
or
yeah.
anything,
I was about to make that joke.
but something's on his door now, and he
Yeah.
comes up to me the other day and goes, "Who put this here?"
It's obvious.
And I said, "Well, I have
was
a guess."
Ashley.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was producer Ashley. Yeah. But I got a funny feeling that you might have had something to do with that one. So.
Yeah.
But anyways, I ask about pranks because pranks can be funny and sometimes they can go too far, right? Like we all have those like April Fool's Day kind of things, right? Like me and Nick, I've gotten her the last few years. A couple of years she's gotten me pretty good, but like it becomes competitive, right? And
Oh, boy.
Sometimes it gets a little overboard in certain places, right? Where we try to make sure to keep our limits. But I got friends, man, whose families just go to like crazy extremes, right?
Wake up with a tattoo kind of extremes.
Well, who knows, right? Or say something that isn't true and that can cause like problems,
Oh
right?
no, you're not saying the pregnancy joke, are
Well,
you?
I don't know about that, but I'm just saying, like, some people could take this stuff too far. But I was looking at Sky News, which gives us our weird, odd, kind of funny headlines that were happening.
Okay.
So there was a race the other day in Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 10K race, and the headline reads: "Female prankster pretending to be a marshal sends Glasgow runners on a 2.5-kilometer detour during the race." And so, yeah. Like some lady thought it was funny and got in front of all the runners and said that she was in charge, shot something, and sent them on a race in the opposite direction. Yeah.
That's so
you
good,
can't make
dude.
this up. And the organizers of the event, it says here, organizers of the event said that this is hard to laugh off this incident as the prank led the runners away from medical help had it been needed, right? So yeah, she literally sent them on a 2.5
Okay.
kilometer extra run and took them away from all like the security and medical help and anything like that was
Yeah.
available to them.
Yeah.
She sent them off course. Like, what a wild prank, eh?
Okay.
Yeah. Like I could laugh about it just like you did initially, and then when you start thinking about it, you're like, holy smokes.
Well,
man.
what's the scope here? Like, in order to determine in my books like how grave or how
Yeah.
frivolous this is?
Yeah.
Like, how long were they running? What's the Glasgow run?
It's 10K.
10K.
Yeah, and she sent them on an extra 2.5 kilometer detour, so a
Okay,
mile
so
and
that's
a
a
half.
20% increase, which is pretty. It's a
Yeah.
pretty substantial amount to throw into a 10K.
I would think so, eh?
Especially because lots of people, well, so I shouldn't say lots of people. Lots of people I know
Yeah.
that do 10Ks, it's because 10K is kind of their max.
Yes.
So it's like
Yeah.
12 is a lot more than 10.
To add that up 25% is a little bit
Yeah.
taking it too far, eh?
Yeah.
But what a wild prank. Like, who would think about doing this? Like,
I mean-
like this is April Fool's taken to like the extreme limits
An
here.
absolute legend, though.
Yeah, in some ways, right? Like, I wonder if there's going to be like legal trouble going on here, right? Like
Yeah.
the way they're talking about. But the organizers seem like, they write here, there's a fine line between it being a humorous prank and an incident that had one of the runners, not all of whom were local, got lost.
Mm-hmm.
Their warm clothing, refreshments, and first aid were all waiting for them at the finish line, right? So if you,
Yeah.
if you wouldn't have stayed on track or were able to get back on course, like this could have sent you who knows where. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, that's really interesting, man, because like again, I mean, my first reaction is that's so harmless. They're
Yeah.
athletes, they're running already.
Yeah.
Like a detour is just like, isn't that annoying? And then they all get back to the end and they think, wait, we did what? And that person is just like, like if that's what happened, that's amazing, because it's like if
Yeah.
nobody gets harmed, then
Yeah.
beautiful. But if we're talking about people entering like a state of physical distress and stuff, it becomes less funny.
That's where
But-
it becomes less funny. Yeah,
yeah.
and nothing like that apparently happened. And apparently the competitors affected by this mischievous interference, it says in the headline, have been offered a 50% discount on their entry to the next event. So,
Oh, nice.
yes, and so she's helping people get discounts, but then the event's losing money, I guess, right? So like,
Oh, yeah.
this prank goes
So
to
the
all,
event is
has all
offering
sorts of lines of
Yeah.
accountability and,
Yeah.
reflection here, right?
See, this is the thing about pranks. You call me a prankster. I think I'm probably pretty far from a prankster in terms of
Yeah.
prankster terms.
In that sense, yes.
But
yes.
I do enjoy. So here's the thing. To me, a prank is at its core a deception that is harmless and then revealed.
Yeah.
So like the deception is the key part of it. So putting a sign on Louis' door to me isn't even a prank, because it's like I wasn't deceiving him at all. I was just
No.
like, I put that on your door.
It's just funny.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
goofy. I was gonna throw it out, but I put it on his door instead.
Yeah.
So the whole line of deception, like first of all, I have lines like I don't mock or prank my wife jokingly or anything, because that hits different for her. Like there's a line there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't scare her ever,
Okay.
you know, like
Yes.
jump scares.
Yeah.
Never. So
Yeah.
like our house is like free of that. It's a safe place, but I love to scare people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I love to pop out and shock somebody. I've done it to Ashley a few times. Okay. Ashley put it. Ashley says Ethan loves pranks. Don't give him ideas. She says you stole my car and drove it poorly.
Did you steal her car? This happened once, right?
Me and Jamin Duick stole
This
her
is
car.
back in your college
because
days, wasn't
Jamin
it?
was like, I can drive standard, and I was like, well, I can drive standard in heavy air quotes, but I'm not going to drive somebody else's car. So Jamin did it.
Okay.
But I don't know what damage was done to the car, other than she was so underwhelmed. We went to her house. She was working at the college. We lived in dorm at the college, right? We go to her door. We would take her keys all the time to do stupid stuff. It was just normal. We took her keys. We actually left the building, went to her house, got her car, drove it back to the college and parked it out by the staff door. And then we were like, hey, Ashley, somebody's here to see you or something. Oh, come to the door. And she's just like not impressed, knows that it's going to be something stupid, goes out and it's her car. And I just remember like she won because we went through all that work, and she's just like, okay, you took my car. Like,
Yeah.
and it was like, dang it, man. Like we went through so much work to
And
get
you guys
your car.
felt like it was such a great prank.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is funny,
Well,
actually.
Anyway, suffice it to say, like that was also me in college. I wouldn't do that sort of thing now.
Would you have led people on a wrong direction on a 10K run in college?
No, I can't do that, because again, that's like too much deception.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
The most I could do, like
Yeah.
I might prank somebody by making them think something for like 30 seconds.
Yes.
Just in a conversation.
That's how I get Nicole. Usually I
Yeah.
tell her one of her favorite stores is closing.
Yeah.
And then
Usually, wait, how many times
I've
has
done
it
this
happened?
before, and she's reacted. Then I give her like a hug and say, "I love you, my April Fool."
Oh.
And then she'll go "Arr!" and get like kind of upset. Like Nicole just doesn't like to not win, right? So in that sense, but she's gotten me before too. And yes, Nicole does love pranks too, as producer Ashley says. Yeah, she likes to. One time she took one of my records and took a bottle of nail polish. And flipped it over and poured it all over but she put plastic underneath it so that you couldn't see what was happening, and she just left it on top of the record player as if she spilt a bottle of nail polish on my record. And if you know me, I keep all my records in like mint condition.
Dude.
So yeah, I woke up and I was like, "What the heck's going on here?" Right? And then eventually I found out, oh my gosh, she really got me.
That's
here,
a good one.
And she posted it on social media, and some people were like, "They sell those things," and Nicole was like, "No, they don't. I did it. Like I just set it up myself, kind of thing."
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
and she made it look so real.
That's
and
impressive.
I was just like,
because they do sell like the spilling things, but they look fake.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's
hers,
awesome that she made
hers looked 100% real, and I remember waking up a little upset that day. Pranks are good. This thing, like you're right. I think of this person sort of as a legend in a sense after hearing this. Like it's hilarious, right? But at the same time, if I was running, might see it different, obviously. And if I was there, probably seeing it different. Or if I knew someone who was there, probably, so it was too far. I think we can agree on that.
Honestly, though, if I was running a 10K,
yeah.
And I got to the end and I thought, wow, that was hard. Well, first of all, I would be tracking it, so I would realize something was off. But I would be like, I just did a 12K.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, you got pushed into your PB.
You almost, right? Yeah, you almost got you got pranked upwards.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Well, I read
Ashley
it.
says she would be pumped. Yeah, we're on the same page. That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, thought it was funny. It was an interesting story. It's funny that it made news, and I'm gonna keep up with this one. Okay, I'll let you know if anything comes out of this, because I want to see if she gets in trouble or what happens. Because obviously, it's a prank kind of gone a little bit too far, right? It's gonna have like even financial ramifications.
Yeah.
So
one more thing about pranks.
Okay.
And this is the story I just told about Ashley withstanding. So outside of what I'm about to say, because that's she won that one in my books. But one thing that sucks about pranks is when you put in effort and you're trying to get somebody and they refuse to get got.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, it's not funny. I'm not in.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, come on. But again, Ashley's story is different because we just sucked. It was a bad prank. But like we did in dorm, we would duct tape people into their rooms, where you just have a massive duct tape and you put up a wall around their door. So when they open their door or whatever, it's just a wall of duct tape, and they have to or they have to cut their way into their room or whatever. Like we would do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when they just refuse to acknowledge that you did it, that you won, and they're just like grumpy about it, it's like, come on, man. Like or like we brought you into this because we thought it'd be fun for all of us, like we didn't prank you because it was like, we're including you, And so when people are just like, no, you don't win, no, it's not good, it's like, okay, that's my stance on pranks. It's like, if somebody pranks me and it's actually good, you have to own it. You have to be like, good job. That was good.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Like stealing an owl, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Again, more college stories here. But when Ashley worked at the college and we lived there, we stole an owl from her office, a fake owl. Okay,
yes.
Jordan?
Yeah, I think I remember this, actually. I remember hearing about this. So
his name was Fredericton.
Yes.
And that was actually crazy. We set up an email account. Ashley, I love that you put a timeline here because that's so true. We set up an email account for Fredericton the Owl, and we would send emails randomly. There would be pictures included.
Yeah.
We sent a ransom note. One of our friends went to Texas
and the owl
and
was
brought
there.
the owl and sent pictures like on the plane. That's and
risky.
Everything.
That's risky.
Yeah. And then, so this owl was like all over the place. And then the owl got re-gifted a year later. Wait, you have the owl still?
That part's awesome.
Oh my goodness, you got it back?
It's
wow.
in this building.
Okay.
We're going to have to reveal the owl at some point.
That was like a year and a half or 2 years of life. Dale sent you a photo a year later. Whoa, that's crazy. Oh, man. Okay, so Ashley's just letting us know that she actually took the owl to Kenya with her even when she moved there.
This owl has been around the world way more than I have.
That owl's been more places than me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's incredible.
Anyway, that's enough for pranks, but boy, I see this. It can make good memories. It can make good fun, right?
Oh, it can. And stuff like this is gold, right? Like even these memories here.
By the way, the teleportation thing I brought up,
yeah,
that was a prank.
was it a prank?
Yeah.
The whole thing was
It was a
fake?
prank on the universe.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. You thought I was over here? I'm actually over here.
Yeah.
Okay, so with our feed items in, that was a great one. I appreciate you bringing that one to the table. Lots of fun. Let's get into the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood.
So in the neighborhood, we like to talk about what's going on at the church and stuff.
Yep.
And there's just one thing that I really want to highlight at the neighborhood church that we did that really reached into our neighborhood as well, like the community that we're located in. Man, sometimes it's frustrating having a church called the Neighborhood Church when you're trying to talk about the neighborhood you're in.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It works really well sometimes, but then you're like, no, I mean like literally the neighborhood, you know? Anyway, we did our winter carnival this last Monday. It's family day. It was minus 41.
Yes.
And I was so happy to see families there just
awesome.
enjoying and participating. Props to everybody who came out to help out. First of all, we had an awesome team of people making sure bouncies were running. The games were running, carnival games with tickets, and there was a prize booth. Like it was like Fuddruckers, you know, or like not Fuddruckers, sorry, just Ruckers, where you could like go bring tickets and cash in prizes. And there's cookies for everybody, face painting, balloon guy. Man, and it was just like the coolest thing, hey?
Yeah,
like,
it was awesome. Yeah, I even heard from some of our guests, like some of them were kind of blown away actually to an extent. Like, and I'm saying that to the people who organize it and to like, you know, the team in the gym, your team there. Like it felt like an actual like event for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And they had a blast. And
it was really well put
and we
on.
had so much fun putting it on. So
yeah, it's honestly just an opportunity where we're able to like take a minute and do something that was just purely for our community to have a good time. For our young families to come here, be warm, be dry. I mean, you're dry no matter where you go in Saskatchewan, but
that's perfect though. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really honestly lended itself well. You didn't talk about this on the weekend because of this, but it just happened to coincide where on the weekend you were speaking in this series, Not Alone.
Yeah.
And you were talking about serving each other.
Yes.
Serving one another, right? And I see you've got some notes here and stuff. I mean, if you've got things you want to point out specifically, I had a lot of takeaways. I'll just chip in, right? But
yeah,
what was kind of your focal point for this weekend?
Well, the overall point was just that, you know, like there's lots of tensions and stuff within our faith where, you know, we want to draw absolute lines, but I think I started the talk this weekend with a verse from Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9 that talks about salvation. It's by grace. It's a gift of God, right?
Yep.
Not from yourself, not by works that no one can boast. But then the verse after, Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do," right? And it's this idea that, like works don't like at all earn anything for your salvation, but because of your salvation, because of what God's done in your life, you're going to do things for him, right?
Yep.
So serving each other, it came down to, and I started thinking, you know, it might be a good topic for us to include in the series. Naturally, I go to John 13, where Jesus is at the Last Supper with his disciples, and he gets down on his knees and starts cleaning feet. And you know, just the whole mood in the room must have changed. Well, it did change because you know, Peter, for example, said like, "There's no way you're going to do this, right?" And then Jesus insisted that, you know, he had to do this. And then he let them know, I did this to set an example for how you guys are to treat each other and to treat the world, right? You know, greatness in our world is often, you know, seen as who can you get to serve you, or how can you have power over people? And Jesus made it very clear that greatness in his kingdom is going to be not that, but it's going to be how can you serve others? And
how are you pouring out for people?
Exactly.
What are you giving?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think the whole idea behind serving one another, especially in the church, it is especially important, right? So, you know, as we work together as a team and love each other, and you know, the scriptures say one body, many parts. Everyone has something to contribute, right?
Yeah.
The eye doesn't say to the hand, I don't need you. Foot doesn't say to the ear, I don't need you, right? Like it's all important.
It's one of the great metaphors in scripture that really just drive it home. A body working out of many parts, right?
Yeah.
We were just talking just before this. We had said, so I have hip issues.
Okay.
And it's like you don't notice your hips until they aren't working, until you have a problem. And then you notice them a lot. You can't sit, walk, stand, lay down, crouch, do anything without experiencing your hips.
Yeah.
And that's the illustration that is from Scripture. Like the body, it's made up of a whole bunch of different stuff. It's not just like a faceless, uniform operation. It's like this weird moving group of unique and cool things, and when it all works together, it works.
Yes.
Yeah.
And every part has a role. Every part does its thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think, I love it. I think it's great. I talked a little bit about gifts, how everyone has gifts, right? Spiritual gifts in some sense, right? And other talents and abilities and things that we could offer, and how Scripture really says that the point of these gifts isn't for you or for your platform or for your benefit, but it's actually for the body again, right? Like for the common good. It's to help others, right?
Yeah.
And we live in such a culture, I think, where we need to hear that, because sometimes, gifts can put you in the spotlight, and they could reflect well on you. And there could be a tendency sometimes to want to showcase that gift. And, you could even, dare I say, profit sometimes off that gift, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And really try to build your own platform. But, 1 Peter 4:10 tells us, each of you use the gift you've been given, which is God's grace to you, to serve one another, right? Yeah.
We can see all sorts of examples of how in the world and in the church world and stuff, but I just mean in the world as in our world that we're in right now.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of ways that people misconstrue gifts, or, we use the term gifts. It's a very familiar term from biblical wording, but you could say like abilities or like giftings, things that you have developed or given to you, like things that you are just your green spaces,
Yeah.
But like you look around and there's people that are just absolutely genius at something, and they use it just to further themselves and advance themselves. And lots of times people that could be very great become despised because of it, or divisive, and in the church world, you see lots of times, if you hear something sensational about some person who everybody knew and loved, sort of falling apart in the public eye, lots of times it's like a gift that's been out of balance. Like there's no community, there's no body surrounding that specific gifted person or part of the body to bring balance and wholeness to it. And so, somebody who has the gift of being an incredible communicator and connecting with people and drawing people's hearts together, and outside of the balance of the body where there's no humility and connectedness and accountability and like cooperation in it, it just sort of gets extended until it just falls apart. Like the other thing about being the body is that the cohesion together keeps us like sane and grounded.
Agreed.
Right? Like keeps us safe, really.
Yeah.
And it keeps us from this idea of like, the spotlight is good and obscurity is bad. Like I think most Christians would probably be well served to pray for some degree of obscurity in their lives, in the sense of like, let me use everything that I'm good at to be part of this. Like I don't want to be the guy or the girl or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And when we get off on those tracks, and we've seen it tragically happen too often, probably, right? Where, a certain level of celebrity kicks in with the use of your gift, right? And then all of a sudden you start believing that you had something to do with this, right?
Yeah.
And then it just kind of topples, but doing it in context with the body and having that extra accountability and that teamwork and working together with other believers, it keeps everything, I think, where it needs to be, and the way it was intended to be used. And so, like, I'm thankful for some of those verses that talk about these things, right? Like even in 1 Corinthians 12 and verse 7, I think it's NLT says, everyone should use the gift they're given to help one another, right? Like it's that simple.
Yeah.
Gifts are given in the church so that we can help each other, so that we can help the world around us, and so that we can contribute to the common good of everyone.
Yeah. Carry each other's loads.
100%. Yeah. So I don't know, serving others, I just think it's such an important thought for us, right? I remember, that was one of the things I was challenged on, even when I was doing my like ordination credentialing interviews with the denomination that I'm a part of. I had one of the people ask me, so like, you're going to work as a pastor, but how are you still going to serve people? And so it's been challenging to navigate that and make sure I'm finding avenues where I can still contribute and make sure that there's that aspect of, I'm going out of my way to serve others, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And you know what's interesting? All the way back to the first passage that you started with, talking about Ephesians 2, specifically verse 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
So 9 talks about this new identity,
Yeah.
and it very heavily calls people to a personal identification
Yep.
with God, and then like a group identification under God, so identity, and then very quickly followed up with purpose.
Yes.
And it's really interesting.
It's a great way to put it.
Well, we actually just talked about it at Young Adults.
Yeah.
We did this series called Something New, where the whole idea is there's always something new for you. Like, don't get stagnated, and also don't feel like you're stuck. Like, there's always something that God is growing in you and equipping you with. And that was a big part of it, is that we had 1 week where we just talked about identity, and we just talked about who are you and what are you given in God. But then the next week was like, for what? What purpose? And it's great because the Bible pairs them together already all the time, where it's
Absolutely.
like you are God's chosen people, or you are God's children. And like in Ephesians 2, you are his, I believe it's masterpiece is the word that's used, right? Like his special creation for the work that he has planned for you, for the good things that he has planned for you.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's actually a purpose. We're not just saved from something, but we're saved for something.
I like that distinction, and I think that keeps us on track. And these were 2 words I used in my talk. They just came to my mind. That keeps us from simply being consumers and people who are there to get and receive, which the first part of that verse very much talks about what we receive, right?
Yeah.
But we also contribute.
Yes.
Yeah, we're his handiwork, his mastercraft, his workmanship. Like there's a few different ways it's said throughout the text, right? But the crazy thing is that God's already got this stuff in mind. Like it's already been prepared, right?
Yeah.
We just need to walk in it, walk into that, like that purpose that he has for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen like a firefighter in the gym?
In like working out,
Yeah.
perhaps, yeah.
So I've worked out with a firefighter before. One of my buddies was training, and he has to meet specific physicals and stuff, and I was in the gym, and he was in the gym, and we're working out together. This guy was driven, man, and he was like incredibly strong, incredibly good shape, and he had to focus on everything: cardio, ability to lift really heavy things and sustain that. And like firefighters are crazy, dude. Like there's a reason there's jokes about firefighter calendars, you know what I mean? Because they're just another level.
Yeah.
But working out with that guy really showed me the difference between gym guys and somebody, or gym guys or girls, whatever, but I'm speaking specifically about a guy, and somebody who's doing it for a reason. And like there's a difference between gym muscles, where it's like, I just want to be big for me. I'm going to eat 3,000 calories of dirty food just so I can get big, and I'm not shaming anybody for this is not about physical training.
Yeah.
Don't get the wrong message here. You should go to the gym. You should have fun. You should love it and stuff. And it's good for you to just do it for your health. But you see somebody who does it for a reason, though. And it's just, it looks different. Like it's driven, and then there's practical application. So like this guy had to work hard because he worked hard.
Yeah.
So he would work hard to work hard. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not advocating that Christians should just be burning themselves out with working hard all the time, but it just makes you think, like the purpose behind why you do the things you do really drives you to like a new level. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
are we Christians consuming to get gym muscles, just for us?
Yeah.
Or are we Christians who we consume because we have work to do?
Yeah.
Because we got to put in the work so that we can advance the mission of Christ, which is to love people and to love
common
God.
good, yeah.
Make a difference in our community and draw people to wholeness, like that's anyway, difference of consumption, I suppose, is what I'm talking about here.
No, that's a good thought. I like it.
Everybody at me in the comments about what I said about the gym. If it offended you and stuff, please let me know. And I would love to hear your thoughts about that, because unless you have something else to say, then
Nope.
we're going to move right into the last segment of the show. How about you?
How about you?
So how about you?
How about you?
Did anything we say spark with you? Did you go to the carnival? You want to tell us something about it? Was it great? Was there a favorite part that you had at the winter carnival here at the Neighbourhood Church? What do you think about quantum teleportation or pranks? Coming up to April Fools, you really chose a good time to bring up April Fools.
Yeah.
No, wait.
We're gonna have to.
Okay, hold on. No.
We're gonna have to have an episode about this. I think about pranks.
I was gonna say that April is coming up at the end of the month. I forgot about March.
March is there. Yeah, March is still there. Well, we're thinking
Oh.
ahead. I see. This is where I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I thought that you're just like an extra ahead planner.
Oh, big
So
time.
like you're getting your April Fools down now,
dude.
so that come March 20th, you're not unready for this, right?
Did you say March 20th?
Yeah, March 20th or so.
You know it's April 1st, though, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, 10 days out, you better have your pranks ready to go, right? You better have your trap set up.
No, I got you.
All
I got
that
you.
jazz.
Yeah. I'm not that far ahead thinking, okay? Honestly, any prank I'm going to pull, it's going to be because in a window of 30 seconds, I decided to do something.
Me too.
So,
Same thing. Same thing.
That's tell us what you think about pranks, though, and maybe we can get some ideas in the comments.
Yeah,
We
tell
can,
us the best one you did or had done to you. I'd love to hear your stories.
Don't
actually.
say anything illegal.
Yes. Yes, if the investigation's happening, just let it be. So
Somebody
Don't
just
bring it up.
in the comments, I chopped off a guy's hand one time. It's like, what?
yeah,
Hey!
that's too much information. Yeah.
I know some people on 25th Street in Saskatoon that would like to talk to you. So,
Yeah.
how about you? We had a feedback from last week, and I'm just going to read some of these comments. So these were actually expressed to Ashley specifically, and I'm glad that she was willing to share with us. So she got texts, and the texter, are we supposed to reveal name or no? Let's not. The texter said, I have noticed a very, all caps on very.
Very.
I have noticed a very heavy trend of Ethan being, and then all caps again, obsessed with anything that has fried cheese.
There's some truth to that, eh?
There's not just some truth to it. I'm actually a little bit concerned that this feels like a revelation. I'm like, this should be a given.
This
right?
is a given, yeah.
Anything with fried cheese.
Well,
I actually just made last night pierogies.
Yeah.
And I made them in a way that my wife would enjoy them. But then I took my pierogies and I put some cheese in a pan, put the pierogies down, flipped them over, so pierogies just coated in crispy cheese.
That sounds awesome, actually.
Fried cheese is everything, dude.
Yeah, it'd be great. You were fighting for matzo sticks last week, I remember.
I was. You know why?
Yeah. Why? Because you like fried cheese?
Because it's delicious.
It is. They are good, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Unlike this guy who doesn't like fried pickles. but
I don't like pickles. Sorry. I can't,
So
I wish.
disappointing, dude.
I wish.
Hey, you know what actually Louis mentioned to me? He said, when you're talking about fried pickles, do you mean the sticks like the spears or the dollars, like the little circular ones?
Yeah.
And would you like one of those more than the other?
Probably not because it's pickles. the deal breaker is pickles for me. So.
It's the pickles the issue, not how it's done.
No, that's
Okay.
why I was good with you guys giving it an A last week because I was just like people in the normal world, it's probably very popular, right? But
You're
I
real
just don't.
sick, you know
I
that?
just don't like pickles, so I'm not a huge fan of tomatoes either. But that's another thing.
What? Dude,
altogether.
tomatoes are so... I literally had tomatoes on toast this morning
When
for
I
breakfast.
go, like if I order a burger, it's always going to be no pickle, no tomato.
Something is wrong
And then
with
my
you.
wife will order extra pickles. So
Jordan, do you
and
see the
actually,
stain in my
normally
eyes
I'll
right now?
keep my tomato and then just hand it over to Nicole so she could have it and enjoy it.
Well,
So,
that's nice.
yes.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, you don't like onions either, do you?
No, not really.
Jordan,
like
this guy's like, give me a
I could
hamburger,
deal-
but I don't like the onions.
I could deal with the onions a bit more than the other two, though. Like if the onions are there, I'm not gonna like pass it up completely, right?
Okay, okay. No onions, no tomatoes, no pickles, no
Pickles,
bread,
I'll
no
do this.
lettuce.
I'll do this to pickles, and then
Yeah,
tomato.
okay.
I'll be like, here you go.
Really, what he's trying to get to is that he just likes a big meatball.
I like a matzo burger. Okay, it's got
Okay.
a little Thousand Island dressing on each side, lettuce with no tomato.
Okay, you know what's crazy
Perfect.
good?
It's like a Big Mac.
Any sort of mushroom melt burger is amazing. Wendy's has a cheddar mushroom melt right now.
Yeah,
Incredible.
I can imagine.
Incredible. I'm going to eat one tomorrow because I'm meeting a friend at Wendy's. I'm going to order that. I already know.
Sounds good.
Want to come?
You're thinking of it, eh? Maybe.
You texted me this
I'll
week.
let you
You
know.
sent me a text. It was a picture of old school Wendy's, and you said yellow Wendy's hits different, right?
And it does, yeah.
It does.
Yeah. The old yellow packaging and stuff. I
Yeah.
saw that meme somewhere floating around. I thought to myself, man, Wendy's used to be the place.
Yeah.
And now that it's gone like with the red and silver foil, like it's still okay, but it doesn't hit quite like
Have you
that
noticed
yellow.
every single fast food place, it's a red.
Yeah.
It's like they got too big into the whole appetizing color psychology stuff. Like
yeah.
nobody stands out anymore. A&W. Orange and brown.
I thought we were going somewhere different there for a second.
Hey, Pret Coffee. Pret
exactly.
Manger Coffee is at A&W.
You texted me out of the blue about A&W coffee the other day.
Did you have it yet?
Not yet. I will.
Ashley, have you had
Tomorrow.
A&W's Pret Coffee?
I'll try it tomorrow.
A&W coffee used to taste like 1,000 trucker bums plus cigarette butts in a coffee cup. All right? It was gross.
Like the Van Hoot one?
Yeah.
I didn't mind Van Hoot.
No amount of cream and sugar would make it not taste burnt and acidic and gross. But Pret Coffee is incredible. And all of Canada's locations have Pret Manger coffee.
Yeah.
And it is...
A&W switches their coffee every 10 years.
Every 10 years?
I worked there in the 90s. They started with their special blend, and they moved into a different one. And then like Sanka was big at the time.
Yeah.
And then they went to Van Hoot, and now they're at Pret.
I'm assuming it's just contracts or whatever.
I would
right?
assume so, yeah.
Deals. I hope they keep Pret, though, because I hate it when there's a revolving door on
You'll
stuff.
probably get it for 5 to 10 years, so you're going to be okay.
Jordan, I don't think I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I want to go to retirement with this, bro. I'm going to retire my life on
Maybe you could buy shares in Pret, and then you could just make sure that the company ensures its success.
Well, here's the thing. Shares in Pret might be good for 10 years, but what about after that?
When Wendy's goes back to yellow, you could have it in Wendy's.
Okay, let's finish reading this comment so we can finish this episode.
All right.
Me and you could just talk about food or
Sounds
music forever. But okay, and also the commenter continued to say, and jalapeno poppers, question mark, question mark, question mark. Little excessive, you know who you are, but okay. I guarantee half the people he knows, being Ethan, cannot even consume those without major stomach ache. I don't even know what they're implying. What do you mean half the people I know can't consume jalapeno poppers? What does that mean?
Well, probably because like anyone who eats a big amount of jalapenos, like it can mess you up. Like it could hurt
Anybody,
you, right?
Anybody.
Yeah.
Except for people who can eat food that is slightly spicy. So I think this is a race thing. I think it's because I'm white and they're like, oh, he only knows white people. That's what I think is happening here.
I was trying to bring understanding and I'm staying onto this one.
No, I'm going to blow this way out of proportion. I want to start like a comment war over this, okay? Comment if you can eat jalapeno poppers without getting a tummy ache, okay? I appreciate some people just don't like it. My wife doesn't like spicy food.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
But if you like it, you can eat it and not be sick, all right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Right?
Sure.
Back me up, Jordan.
Sure, I'm with you.
Dig in, man.
I got you.
Believe in something.
I'm fighting with you on this one, okay?
Is this you fighting with me? If this is you fighting with me, I imagine Nicole has the best fights in all of marriage.
I'm backing
because this
you.
is easy.
I'm backing you, okay?
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, the comment continues. So we're not even done yet. Jordan?
What?
First of all, for anybody who's listening, he just made it. Okay. I'm moving on. The comment continues. The fact they spent most of the episode talking about food also kills me. Great episode so far. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I was enraged with you.
I enjoyed that food talk, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
It was, I think, the longest episode ever on Unedited.
Yeah.
So if you didn't listen to it, go back and listen to it. There's some weird audio stuff going on, but otherwise you hear everything. Like everything's there. And, you know, suffice it to say, me and you have some thoughts about food.
We do.
Same with Ashley.
Yeah.
Ashley was chiming in quite a bit.
Yeah.
So how about you? Tell us what you think. Give us your input. Please. If you're listening to this and you have any opinions on jalapeno poppers, just drop them in. Just do it. If you've never commented before and you're like, I don't do that, that's not my thing, I'm not that committed to this show, whatever, just please say something about jalapeno poppers. Anything. And I will use it as ammunition regardless what you say.
Absolutely. And if you got any ideas on how I could prank Ethan, fire them our way.
I got some ideas for you.
All right. Let me know.
I'll tell you right now.
Okay.
You could go eat lunch with me.
Let's go eat lunch.
Epic prank. We'll see you next week, episode 35.
Unedited is a ministry expression of the Neighbourhood Church. Hosted by Ethan Andrews and Jordan McClellan. Produced by Ashley Drayton. Voiceover by me, M. Curry. Watch us on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. Or listen on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Thanks for listening.